Today I'm here to provide an important update regarding the status of our public water supply system and the advisory currently in place. On August 13, 2025, our water department was alerted to the cross-connection with the distribution center. This notification came as a direct result of the protective measures we have in place and the strong working relationship we have with Montana Resources. Their collaboration and commitment to public safety played a key role in identifying this issue quickly and allowing us to respond decisively. Out of an abundance of caution and in alignment with the public health protocols and working with the Montana DEQ, we immediately issued a do not consume advisory for anyone on the Butte potable water system. On Friday, working with the DEQ, that was stepped down. On Friday, and then for the area that is south of Farrell, west of Continental, north of Ottawa, and east of Farragut and Howard. Since that time, our team has worked around the clock in coordination with several independent laboratories to conduct thorough sampling and analysis of the water supply. I'm pleased to report that there are no contaminants or exceedances have been found in any of those samples. The water has consistently remained within the safe EPA drinking water standards with no indication of contamination from mine processed water or any other source. As a result of these findings, we're now stepping down from a do not consume order to a health advisory in the area reflected on the map. This is precautionary, and it's a measure, not a response to any confirmed contamination. It reflects our commitment to transparency and public safety while we continue to monitor and sample the system. Those outside of the mapped area are not affected by this advisory. Let me be clear. The health advisory is precautionary. It is intended to protect those who may be more vulnerable, such as individuals with severely compromised immune systems, infants, and some elderly residents. If you fall into one of these categories, we encourage you to consult your healthcare provider for guidance. Additional information is available through the EPA Safe Drinking Water Hotline or through the EPA.gov. We will continue to collect samples and monitor the system closely. Updates will be provided as new information becomes available. Your health and safety remain our top priority. Thank you for your continued cooperation and trust in Butte-Silver, and we want to thank Montana Resources for their continued partnership in distributing water and remaining vigilant to the citizens of Butte. We're doing this to protect the community. We will continue to have bottled water available for those still affected in the area tonight from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Butte Civic Center. After tonight, we will determine how we will still make bottled water available for those that are in that most vulnerable population. So with that, I'd be open to any questions from the press or the public. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, JP. My question is, the water samples that were just taken recently, were any of those samples taken from residential homes within the red zone?
Yes, they were.
Okay, thank you.
So we had residential samples. We had them from fire hydrants. We had them from various locations throughout. So I believe that there were Mark Neary probably could confirm this, but I think we sent over 100 samples to the laboratories that were tested, and many of them were residential samples.
So JP, if you're not in one of those categories, am I free to drink water, do anything?
Yes, so again, this is a precautionary. It is an advisory for those in the most vulnerable population, but anyone else that wouldn't be considering that vulnerable population is free to use the water as they always have.
Do you know what the cutoff is for elderly?
So it just says some elderly. I think that people just, if they have any kind of health conditions or things, this is precautionary and that, so they should consult their physician and just, again, it's kind of their choice whether they do or not.
What is the reason, JP, about this to keep at least the advisory up?
Yeah.
What was found? Was there something in the water that was...
There's absolutely nothing found in the water. What they're doing is they're stepping this down, and this is the way the process works. So once we were notified that there was possible cross-contamination, then you go immediately to a worst-case scenario, what could happen. Then from there, once they did the modeling of our system, they indicated that the water, if there was any contamination, couldn't have went outside that area. Once that was determined and it was safe for anyone outside of that area, they could use the water as they always had outside of there, but they kept the do not consume within that modeling. Since that time and through all the sampling that we've had, the DEQ has determined that since there's been no exceedances or contaminants detected in any of those, that they stepped it down again. And so they said that this will probably take maybe up to a week where they continue to look at the water, monitor the water, and make reports back to us, and that's when we'll get the all clear. But it's just a step down system that they don't just say, okay, all clear, you're good to go. They step it down, making sure that they've protected the community.
So if there was nothing in our water, when they flooded my yard with the fire hydrant, a foot of water was over my driveway, my garage, my everything. Why did it smell like sewage for the whole night? What was
That wouldn't have came out of the water system.
out of the water system? I watched them do it.
Yeah, it was bad. The whole-
Well, you could ask and we could go down and test that water right there for you if that's what you want. But I don't know if it was anything that was in the water or within the area or whatever, how that went. So at that time, I didn't know if you contacted the water department or anybody to come down and look at that. I did. We did have that forwarded on to you, but that wasn't the question that you had.
I had a few questions, but you never answered them.
So, any other questions, anyone in the public here?
This is obviously this was done as a precautionary. It did shake up some businesses. We're getting reports some businesses in Butte may have, lost some significant money when they had to close down. Are you guys expecting any kind of way of reimbursing them, or have you heard of anything in that way?
So I know that Montana Resources is looking at setting up a way for people that have losses to maybe work with them on some claims on this. I think that the people at Butte-Silver or those businesses can reach out to Montana Resources. I don't know that they have that set up, but we've had conversations of them potentially setting up a claims area.
You faced a lawsuit. Are you worried about lawsuits?
Until we see it, Mike, I don't know that I can answer that. I think that Butte-Silver addressed the issues as quickly and proactively as we possibly could. And, it's one of those things that, until it happens, you react to it. And so I think that all of our departments really worked hard in this. We set up a hotline, we answered the questions. Our water department was out there flushing, was out there taking samples. They did that throughout the night and getting everything that was needed of the DEQ. The DEQ was pushing those things through, and then the Montana Bureau of Mines, through their sampling, because they were looking for metals with possible contamination in that, they were able to get that back in a very timely manner. So I think everybody's working to help resolve this as quickly as possible. Yes, Mick.
Thank you. Are there any plans to flush out of the hydrants within our district again? Would there be any reason to do that?
I'll let the Public Works Director speak to that if you
Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Mark Neary, Public Works Director. We wouldn't flush again unless they detected something in. We will have to they want to collect more samples, and we'll start that, I think, this afternoon. We had to go up and get more bottles because the ones we had weren't sufficient for the test. But if we do any flushing, it'll be just because they feel that it needs to be flushed. I don't think that we will have to flush again, but we will have to open hydrants just to take tests.
Thank you.
How confident should Butte residents be in the future of the water distribution system here in Butte?
Well, that's one of the things that we're addressing right away is that, the Butte water system has been and continues to be improved. Our treatment plants do a great job of providing clean drinking water for the system. There's now, as we had this happen, we're working with Montana Resources and any of our other industrial users make sure that we have preventative measures in place to prevent the cross-contamination that has happened. Montana Resources has been working well, Anaconda Company prior to Montana Resources stuff has been connected to our system for a long time. This is the first time that we've had this happen, so we're working with them. They've been proactive, and so they, as they sat up here in front of everybody, they said that they're going to put protective measures on their system to make sure that this never happens again. So they've been working together with us collectively.
Montana Resources, they confirmed they had that breach on their property. And they even found in their own drinking water contamination, they said. Why? Can you explain how it did, even though it got into our system, why are we not seeing any contamination in the city water at this point?
So with that is a good question that we were talking with Director Neary earlier today. Our main that comes in, and where there's a 16-inch main that comes in, and then there's a 6-inch where that goes to the actual fire hydrant. So when they connect it to the fire hydrant, they had connected that and they were bringing in reused water as well. It overpressurized and went back into that 16-inch main. When it did that, it was forced back into those areas on their campus that showed that contamination on their campus. So they picked that up, and that's when they indicated to us and gave us the call once they realized what had happened. But our water is still on that 16-inch main is still going into Montana Resources. So we believe that was being forced back into their property to the other buildings and stuff. So, not saying we know 100% that nothing came out, but we feel that that's why it stayed contained on Montana Resources property.
Do we know
Yes.
how that hookup, was that something that's normally allowed to happen, or something that shouldn't have happened?
So, Montana Resources, you can speak to them about it, but it really, as they alluded to when they stood up here, it was something that should never have happened. So, I'll let them speak to that.